I saw this movie constantly show up in my list forever. Like when it was on Netflix, I think it might have been on Hulu or Prime, one of those two. And I avoided it because it was like 2.5 hours long, and it's a South Korean movie. And the original title was, Ang-ma-reul bo at da, which is
I Saw the Devil.
2010.
Your nightmares are going to get worse.
That's what I tell people when they listen to our podcast.
Your nightmares are going to get worse.
Well.
But it's a movie, so basically it's a secret agent who he's avenging the death of his fiancée. And he's chasing a serial killer.
Oh, and not just a serial killer, but a sexual.
Well, aren't most serial killers tend to be kind of sexual?
But I have to tell you something. I only saw 5/8 of this film.
Really? You only saw 5/8?
No. I literally, this had nothing to do with running out of time or anything like that.
You couldn't watch it?
I couldn't watch it.
I'll have to fill in the gaps.
I have grandchildren and
I have 2 daughters, and
right.
Yeah, some of the scenes were really hard to watch. But I found this interesting. This is a Liam Neeson on meth, basically. That's what this movie is. It's like a Liam Neeson movie, but it's crazier.
Let me tell you something about it. Here's the thing. The directing is amazing. The look of it is astonishing. I mean, the look of it, shot for shot, every shot is interesting. The lighting of it, I don't think that I have seen better. The lighting.
But here's a question. Because it looks so real when they did the bloody scenes and stuff, wasn't that better? Or does it need to be less graphic, I guess, is my question. I think it was pretty effective the way it was.
I thought it looked incredible, because here's the thing, and this is probably why I had to turn away from it. It carried you into the scenes, like.
Oh, there was some really violent stuff.
There was a scene where he's essentially cut up a body and put it in a wheelbarrow, and then wheelbarrows it out of the scene. But as it's going, you absolutely recognize every part in the wheelbarrow. It's not like just a pile of glop, It's a chest and a tit and a face with a tongue sticking out, and it just. And the whole film was just so incredibly graphic.
There are a couple parts where you could see it's rubber, though, if you look close enough. Especially the head. There was a head at some point. Toward the end.
But here's the thing. What I'm saying is it was lit so, I mean, not bright, but
no.
It was just lit so well that you just saw everything. And what they did.
And it still looked dark. It wasn't like some of these movies we see where it's all dark.
His killing, the place that he started killing and stuff, with the blood on the floor and everything, just was so graphic. And as you're looking at it, you're still thinking that it's dark, but at the same time, you're thinking it's dark. But the first time I can actually,
you can see what's happening. You don't want to see it.
I don't have to be afraid of the shadows on the floor. I'm afraid of the freaking floor.
Well, no, this was shed light on everything. So how far did you get? What was the last part?
Oh,
because
I think that there was when the spy pulls him out of the car and says, "Well, things are." When he lets him go, basically it's a catch and release program. And when he releases him for, I think, the third time, right? He releases and he says, "Things are just gonna get worse for you."
Oh, and that was like when he was in the underpass.
Right.
Okay.
Things are just going to get worse for you, and I believed him.
So you actually got pretty far into it, because there were a couple scenes.
No. I was.
You saw the scenes I wanted to talk about. There's 2 scenes I really liked, and they're so violent. But the fight in the car, in the cab.
Oh yeah.
Was freaking amazing. How they shot that. They basically they circled it. as it was happening. And it was just interesting how they got every single action.
Every single angle. And
I'm like, how do you get every single stab, every single, you know what I mean? It was pretty crazy. Actually, the other fight scene was good too. The other one was at the greenhouse, I think it was.
The greenhouse.
Yes.
And the thing is the greenhouse lighting is kind of it's kind of so typical and perfect of the film. I mean, you could see all these greenhouse bits and pieces, but they weren't glowing. But they were. You could totally see them. You could see everything in there. There were no shadows that were a problem.
And they used the door.
I kept thinking, I'd like a little more shadow.
Yeah, no, they used the door to open it, and you see a guy standing there right in the light. It's like really creepy.
It is creepy, but not in the way that you normally get. I mean, this is Technicolor creepy is what
we got to tell people that there's basically a lot of gore, there's a lot of torture, there's cannibalism, there's rape,
nudity, there's
language,
everything, and by nudity I mean, you know, every once in a while you'll see a tit. It's
attached.
Not like it's attached to anything.
Yeah.
You just see it.
Well, that's one thing I liked and hated about this was that it's very realistic, and I could actually see a serial killer like this, basically. Yeah. But what makes it really interesting is puts it over the top is the cop and how his character changes from the beginning. And how stupid he was at the beginning, obviously. And then how it changes. And at the end, you want to know what happened. Like, I want to know, did he become a serial killer? Because he got a little crazy.
Right. Well, everybody did. I got to tell you something, man. But the thing is that there was something about it. There's something about it that there's a certain short-sightedness that we have when we're watching a film. I mean, we would, and I talked about the wheelbarrow going by, right?
Yeah.
We see the wheelbarrow going by, and we would see a few glimpses of body parts and stuff like this. But if you were there, you think to yourself, if I was standing right there where the camera was, I would look down and I would see identifiable body parts as it went by. And that's the feeling that this film had. It had the feeling that you were standing, like the camera was behind you, man. You were looking, you were somehow looking at everything.
Well, there's some scenes where I felt like I was part of the action. Like, that's what I like.
Right.
The greenhouse fight, for example. When he
gets out with the hammer, in the bar the first time, right? And you're like, oh, wow. Yeah, no.
The guy that played the villain was perfect. I mean, he was amazing.
He was totally psychotic.
And the guy was kind of like a Korean Jackie Chan that played the main character.
Well, yeah, and the other thing about it is that, in a weird way, you're starting to get just a little bit of pathos for a rapist, a killer, every bad thing that you can possibly imagine. That every single thought in his head is fucked up. And the thing is he's being hunted by a guy who's, like I say, he's on the hunt and release.
That was what made it more interesting to me. It was kind of predictable in some ways, but then the fact that he was letting him go and catching him again was pretty interesting.
Letting him go and then catching him again, and then just absolutely, just torturing him, and then letting him go again to be caught again.
Well, he was right. It did get worse for the guy. I won't give away the ending, but it gets worse. It gets a lot worse for that guy.
There you go.
I do have one question. There's one flaw, major flaw. I guess you would call it a goof or whatever. But so if you swallow something, wouldn't after like 2 or 3 days would have already pooped it out? Probably.
Oh, you're thinking of the.
Yeah, I was just saying. I didn't want to give that part away too much, but
that's really funny. I thought about the same thing, but then I thought this guy is a little bit too busy getting the hell beat out of him.
Well, he was eating people for a while too. He was joining his little buddy with the people stew or whatever they were eating. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's under.
Oh, by the way, the weirdest character. What was with the girl? She didn't say one word. The girl that was at the table.
Yeah, what was that?
That was interesting to have her there just staring.
And she didn't look Korean at all. She might
have been mixed. Yeah, but
there
she
you go.
had this look on her like she didn't really want to be there.
Yeah.
So I don't
Who
know.
would?
I actually kind of like the addition of her because I was like, okay, is she a victim? What is she trying to run away, or is she? I don't know.
Hell of a good question. It really is.
But I thought this was good. I mean,
if you were
you're into
into
this stuff.
this violent of a film,
well, I almost bailed out during one of the rape scenes, like in the greenhouse. That was where I was like, oh.
That's the one I'm talking about. Is I didn't get much. I got a little bit beyond that, but I got out of that scene. But boy, by that scene, I was like thinking, oh, I don't know. This is, the thing is I think that the phrase torture porn probably.
But I don't know if it was. I mean, I don't know if it was graphic just to be graphic because of the subject matter. I think it had to be somewhat graphic. Maybe they could have shied away from showing some of the boobs that were separated from the body, and I don't know.
It didn't make a difference. If that's the film that you're going to make, that's the film that you're going to
Well,
make.
that's what I'm saying. It's like I don't know if you could make a movie like this without being brutally graphic and showing gore and all that stuff. Especially, well, the only scene I thought went too far was the rock scene. Did you see the rock scene where he had the rock?
Yeah.
I think that almost went over the line, and then it just stopped right before he went over.
Stopped right before he smashed it. That's true. But here's the thing: if you're going to see that kind of film, this is absolutely that film to see, man. It is
It's a little long.
It's an incredible ride.
I thought it was a little long, especially the opening scene was like, okay, the way they got into it was like very, very slowly got into the movie. I thought they could have cut it a little bit. It should have been under 2 hours, I think. Could have been easily.
Once you were there.
But yeah, so for a South Korean movie, I thought this was great. I mean,
yeah, it was really.
How did I not watch this since 2010? Probably because I was just scared of I was scared of the picture first of all, and then the fact that it was so long, and then I knew what it was about. So
yeah, I don't know, man.
If you have daughters, you might not want to watch it.
This is not my favorite genre.
No.
This is not my favorite subgenre. The torture porn horror is not.
But I would say this is so much better than Saw. Like, Saw is just torture to be torture, I think. This is more like, there's more, what's the word? It's more deep. Like, there's more stuff happening with the characters. It's a character movie, for sure. Because it's all about the cop. And the cop's future, would have been future fiance. Or, not fiance. Would have been future father-in-law. And how
it's all about the tits, baby. It's all
how
about
they
the
work
tits.
together.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the dad had something to do with it too, though. The fiance's dad. So I found that interesting. The characters part of it, all the different characters.
Yeah. Okay. Characters.
See, this is what I do when I talk about characters.
Okay. Characters. Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, no, I thought the character arcs were really good. It was interesting. I thought it was a little too much for me. For me, I like gore, but not this much. And I don't like anything about cannibalism, and rape is kind of hard to watch for me. So
Yeah, it was.
So yeah.
I just quit.
But I still give it a pretty high rating, even though I don't want to watch it again.
I do too. I'm going to give it at least a 3.8 and say, if you're into that, this is where you get it.
And you can always fast forward through those parts. I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? You would fast forward and then stop and be in the middle of one.
But no, just the acting alone with the villain was
amazing.
Amazing. So
amazing, yeah.
I give it I probably right with you, probably the same. I would just give it a 3.8 because I agree with you completely.
Well, there you go.
What did I just say?
Yeah. Yeah, and you have to sleep tonight.
I agree with Mick. I'm gonna take a bath. I'm gonna take another bath.
Okay, go take a bath.
Actually, I did earlier. I didn't. Well, not a bath. I took a shower. I'm a man. I take showers. So you'll have to help me come up with it.
So that isn't your rubber ducky?
Well, of course I like Rubber Ducky. I was a Sesame Street fan. Ernie, my favorite song, Rubber Ducky, baby.
Rubber ducky.
Rubber ducky, you're the one.
Hey, you can't sing that. That's a.
Well, I only sang 5 seconds of it, and it was
that's
in the
right.
context of our conversation, right?
That's right. Yeah, it was fair use.